Well, for more on what's happening in Egypt, I'm now joined live by Yvonne Ridley, a journalist who's in London for us. Yvonne, you wrote that, quote, the Arab world has finally woken from its slumbers after years of being drugged and mugged by the West. But the latest batch of WikiLeaks documents that we've seen claim the protests in Egypt were backed by the United States. What's your take on that?
Well, I think that now that the sleeping giant has woken, they're not going to be sold any old leader, which is why so many turned up today. It wasn't the million-strong protest in Tahrir Square, but more than 4 million across Egypt did turn up to rally to protest. They will continue until Mubarak is gone. Everybody realises it, apart from Mubarak, and it's who will fill that vacuum. The good sign is that there's a 10-strong committee now that is part of the Muslim Brotherhood, part of Kafaya, Mohammed al-Baradei, as was mentioned before. But the Egyptian people are very, very suspicious of anybody who is being endorsed, supported or aided by America, and you can't blame them.
Well, you mentioned al-Baradei there, and as you say, Egyptians are now united against pro-American Hosni Mubarak. And Mohammed al-Baradei, who headed the UN's atomic watchdog, is a suitable figure as seen by the US. And even today, the US ambassador to Egypt actually had a meeting with him. But is he essentially another Mubarak, and will the Egyptian people see him as such?
Well, he is tainted because of this meeting. But what is interesting, after that meeting with the US ambassador, the US State Department then put out an order calling all Americans to get out of Egypt. So I'm not sure how well that meeting with the US ambassador went. I don't think Baradei actually sees himself as leadership material. He probably sees himself as a bridge to help the Egyptian people form the government, a unity government that they want, and he's prepared to broker that deal. But I really hope that the Western powers don't underestimate the Egyptian people yet again. You know, they're very intelligent, they're very politically aware, and they will choose the people who they want. And if America doesn't like it, well, it's going to be tough.
And let's talk about some of the extraordinary scenes we've seen on the streets of Cairo today. Many of those signs being held by the protesters were actually written in English. So who are these slogans aimed at?
Well, they know that the West is sitting up and taking notice of what's happening, and so they're putting up signs for those who can't understand Arabic to make it clear. Those signs are for Washington, for Downing Street, for all the leaders in Europe to say we don't want Mubarak and we will choose our own leaders. And they also have made it quite clear that they do not want any more meddling from the US. And America has said, you know, well, we give $1.3 billion of aid every year. The ordinary Egyptian people don't see 1 cent of that, so they're not bothered if America does withdraw this funding, because they certainly do not benefit from it in the slightest.
Now, many Egyptians took to the streets inspired by what they saw happening over in Tunisia. Could that scenario be something that we see repeated elsewhere in the region?
Well, we've seen the signs in Jordan, and obviously the Jordanian king has spotted this and sacked his entire government and told a new prime minister to form a new government now. But a lot of this is too late and too little for the people, ordinary people who have been sick and tired of years and years of repression by these US and British and European installed puppets, dictators and royals who do not have the mandate of the people, who do not act for the people, but they act for American interests. And you know, what we're seeing in Egypt today, we will see, I predict, right across the Arab world.
Yvonne Ridley, journalist speaking to us from London. Many thanks for that insight into what we're seeing in Egypt at the moment. Many thanks.